we wanted to put a Sun Belt corner in Saturday night show. Got a little bit late. We went 90 daggum minutes before we didn't even accomplish everything we wanted to. But I would ask, how do you stack up those teams at the top of the Fun Belt?
James Madison.
I think JMU and Troy are still at the top of this league.
Still.
I mean, like they played a really good game. That was pretty coin flippy down there in Troy. Georgia Southern looks really good.
I would have Southern ahead of Troy.
Georgia State absolutely took one on the nose this weekend after
Troy whipped them. And
after
Georgia
rolling
State whipped,
really
Georgia
hot.
State whipped Coastal, and Coastal played Georgia Southern fairly hard.
What about 4-0 Marshall?
I don't see it, but they're not terrible.
You know that Marshall could beat NC State on Saturday.
Their head coach gets a lot of love in these coaching hot boards.
Charles Huff.
Yeah.
Wait,
who do you think Marshall's going to beat this Saturday?
NC State.
NC State. Boy,
I need to see
better hype up that 4-1 record versus the SEC if that comes around. Better be pointing at that, because after Georgia Tech got beat to Bowling Green, yeesh.
Yeah, don't look at the ACC's record against all these other teams. Like, don't worry about that. Yeah, Virginia Tech's already got a win against Marshall. I mean, Marshall's already got a win against Virginia Tech. They could have 2 ACC wins by October 8th.
Yeah, but Virginia Tech did ODU this year, so thank goodness they got back from that one.
Expand the ACC.
A super fun Sun Belt. I mean, like because South is not bad. South beat Oak State, and I know that their passing game is kind of not what they wanted it to be because they lost their receiver.
Right.
Texas State is explosive as hell. Like they're running like full on. They're basically these Incarnate Word team from last year brought to the FBS. Southern Miss still has a little chaos in them, but clearly like they're taking a big step back. Ark State got a quarterback now. Like the true freshman kid, and he crushed UMass over the weekend, put up 55 on the road.
Which Jones is going to get the Arkansas job at this rate.
Jalen Rayner crushed Southern Miss too.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just been cooking for a couple weeks.
Yeah. Now, will John Summerall and Troy have something for Jalen Rayner? Now you got a guy we think is one of the best defensive coaches in the league. He's got 2 full games of tape on this true freshman second straight week on the road. I don't know. Like this clock could strike midnight, but Rayner's been like really, really good. So we'll watch it. Like App, honestly, like that was a tough spot for them in last weekend. Going to Monroe after you'd gone to Wyoming, like at Wyoming, at Monroe, not amazing teams you have to play there. Wyoming's clearly much better than Monroe is, but that's still a tough spot for them to go in. And they got the win. They look like a team that have been flying a whole lot. Who are we missing here?
Well, if they didn't get the non-call PI at the end of North Carolina, that's back-to-back years. They almost beat them in Chapel Hill.
It's the best G5 league in the country.
Yes.
By a lot.
You've got it by a lot?
I think you better watch out. Mike Oresco is going to be firing off some letters.
Dude, the American stinks this year. Who are we kidding?
SMU and Tulane would still be the best 2 teams in this league.
Yeah, but from top to bottom, there are more solid teams in the Sun Belt than there are in any other G5.
Yeah, the Sun Belt doesn't have a lot of those like bottom 15 type teams this year. Like Temple could be the worst team in the country.
Mountain West has the bottom, but I think the Mountain West's middle might be the best competition if we're comparing them to the Sun Belt.
There's definitely an argument, but I just think, overall, I'd take the Sun Belt over the Mountain West.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really fun to watch. Like the Mountain West season is going to be pretty fun because it doesn't feel inevitable. Maybe Air Force is inevitable, but Fresno looks pretty damn good, man.
Yeah.
They were business-like in dispatching Nevada. Nevada didn't score at all until like the final minute.
Lights went out in that game too, which kind of messed with the flow.
Yeah, we're going to have some really good G5 matchups down the stretch here. The MAC has like 3 legit teams at the top.
We got Wednesday night football this week, boys.
Yeah, that's right.
CUSA action on Wednesday night.
Meanest thing that Tom Fernelli said on Saturday night was that the American caught some CUSA.
It has.
He's like, you let them into your house, and this is what's going to end up happening. All of a sudden, all the nice chandelier has fallen to the ground. A painting is missing from the front hallway. You let him in, Mike. All right, don't come yelling at us just because we're letting you know what happened.
You know, things have gotten so bad that Mike's trying to call in the army.
Get it?
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else from the weekend? There you go. No.
I rewatched Minnesota because that game was kind of from like the box score wise. I thought watching it over again, Minnesota kind of dominated that game. It was just one of those instances where things didn't look nearly as good in the scoreboard. But I'm also, upon further review, and I mentioned this last week, but this weekend only confirmed it for me. I don't think Wisconsin is great. Wisconsin is going to win the West by at least 2 games, and then it is going to get crushed by either Michigan, Penn State, or Ohio State and Indianapolis.
The gap in power ratings between the top 3 in the Big Ten and then everybody else is pretty wild. I mean, it's like more than 2 touchdowns.
How close is Maryland in the group that is?
Maryland is very fun. Maryland is also very chaotic. Like, it is from down to down. You don't really know what you're going to get. It's just when the thing hits, it feels great. But yeah, they're going to shoot themselves in the foot at some point.
Would Maryland be the second best team in the West?
Maryland might be the best team in the West.
You think Maryland's better than Wisconsin?
I think Maryland can beat Wisconsin.
Yeah. I think they could, because they could score with them.
Right.
Some of this is like, what do you think Maryland's defense is? Like, that's a really important question we're going to have to answer here, because they have played Charlotte, which is my second worst rated offense in the country, ahead of only Sam Houston. They have played Indiana, which just fired its offensive coordinator. They have played Virginia, which is a pretty terrible offense. They have played Michigan State, which again doesn't really play any offense. Do we think this defense for Maryland is at all real? Or this is kind of the point. Like, we're at this point of the season, I was like, oh, look at these rankings. But you can get a good defensive ranking by playing 4 legitimately bad offenses. And so I'm not saying Maryland's defense isn't good. I don't know that they are, because they have played 4 teams that look bad against bad, but also bad against good.
But that's the thing. Like, when you look at Maryland as far as points allowed or yards allowed or whatever you want to look at, oh, it looks good. When you look at the success rate and the down-to-down stuff, it's slightly above average, and it's not really playing great teams. So that's what I mean. It's like Maryland is a lot of fun so far, but they are, like, kind of crazy in a good way, though.
Yeah, the Ohio State this week. There you go. Like, that's my favorite thing of but they haven't played anybody. And then it's like, here's what we got. All right. We'll have a great moment. If Maryland's defense holds Ohio State under
40.
Oh, I don't have that. I'm not that confident in Ohio State's offense, but if they hold them under 30, then yeah, maybe we can start talking about it.